Esteemed colleagues, we to continue our series of press briefing dedicated to the first anniversary of Ukrainian Maidan. And this briefing is going to be the most emotional one because here we are going to talk to relatives of the Celestial 100 Celestial Company, relatives here in Institutska Street. They were hunted down, and the children and parents were facing the death without understanding that they were heroes. Yesterday, here in Ukraine Crisis Media Center, we had the Prayer for Ukraine premiere, and it is concluded with the words, they can take away the land we are walking, but they cannot take away the soil we are buried in. So, even говорит son of the perished father Vladimir Maduruk, son of Serhiy Bondaruk, killed during the Maidan events. Vladimir Holodnyuk, father Ustim Holodnyuk, killed during the Maidan events. His blue helmet in colors of the UN peacekeepers became symbol of our fight and was penetrated by the sniper's bullet. Good afternoon. Today is a year from beginning of the Dignity Revolution and 9 months since our relatives were executed in Institutsky Street by the criminal authorities. This is the Dignity Day, as people call it, and I can tell you about dignity in our state and whether dignity is right and supreme. Dignity is something having to do with keeping one's promise, walking the talk. And each revolution, the one that was started in 2004 and one that started last year, started with lies from the authorities. Today, it's 9 months since our relatives, our loved ones perished, but the state haven't recognized them as heroes officially yet. Our president, when he entered his office, our new president, had a meeting with us, and he promised at that meeting that he would recognize our relatives as heroes and award them and decorate them with the highest rank, and the highest decoration, highest award. But what we see instead is this meeting with presidents on the spot where most of the people were killed, and on that very spot he promised to sign the decree on giving the title Heroes of Ukraine to our relatives. And as of 5 p.m., 5:30, we are having this meeting with him, and he's going to announce that the dignity is recognized and celebrated. Then we'll see whether it is so. Vladimir Bondarchuk. Good afternoon to all of you. In the course of all this month, we've been patient, waiting, and working on the legal framework. We created the NGO to protect our interests, to advocate for them, the Celestial 100 family. We wrote to competent authorities, but even the law is not complied with on applications from the citizens. So we have dispatched 7 letters, but after 3 or 4 months, we haven't received any answer to that. So today we have lodged a complaint at the General Prosecutor's Office for failure to comply with the law, the presidential administration, the law on applications from citizens Our meeting with the president is due today, so in front of our beloved relatives' portraits and family members' portraits, he gave that oath to us. And now we'll see whether Revolution of Dignity was in vain, or maybe common citizens can change something in this country. Common citizens can change opinion of the highest authorities in this country. That's the statement I wanted to make. The most active driver of this action. When we were trying to talk to the president, I would like to make an official statement. I'm not an extremist. Neither myself nor our relatives were extremists in the Maidan. We want our dignity to be observed, integrity to be observed. We are following the steps of our beloved ones. We want to live in the country they dreamt of. So I think this has been the first step in this revolution. Our loved ones who perished in that revolution paved the way to the future, to the destination. And now we are taking care not just of our own problems. I would always emphasize on any occasion that people tend to forget. Maybe the Celestial 100 is remembered, even if it's not commemorated. But people who were wounded, injured, mutilated in the Maidan are forgotten. The most noble hearts in Ukraine that deserve the name of a Ukrainian. The majority of them went to the east, and the cream of our nation, they are dying there. I was asked today whether I was ashamed of myself. No, I'm not ashamed of myself. After 9 months, I would have become a father. My only son perished in the Maidan. I'm not going to have any grandsons. Maybe my other children will give me the grandchildren, but not this one. The Gina Fund we are losing, the treasure we are losing, we should remember and care about. Taking into account the 9 months, nothing has been done, and maybe you are sorry that you let Ustem go to the Maidan in the first place and didn't keep him at home. You see, the point is that once I really reproached myself because I didn't use all the means to keep him home. I trusted in his choice and respected his opinion. I was trying to overcome my fear for his life and for his death. I knew that he was a man, and then I wasn't supposed to break him. And the last drop in his arguments was the last straw. In my face, he told me that I never asked my parents when I participated in the Maidan hunger strike in 1990. I understood that he was an adult. We have questions from the back of the audience. ICTV, 2 questions. Tell us, please. How would you appreciate the investigation of your relatives by the Prosecutor General's office, and what is your opinion of that? This is number 1. And secondly, Minister of Social Policy discussed compensations. Have you got any consultations, and what were the 7 letters about? The 7 letters to the presidential administration. Let's start with the last one. On the letters. Yes. to the name of the presidential administration from an NGO. Before that, we would write as a group of relatives of these heroes from the Celestial Hundred. About 5 letters, so with the same kind of questions, the same set. They do not change. Punishment for the guilty, investigation of the murders, and commemoration and recognition at the state level as heroes of Ukraine because they perished and they gave their lives for Ukraine. And the third question about Institutsky Street as a walking area, the memorial, and the fourth position, this is social protection for the Celestial Hundred Heroes. The letters were filed with the presidential administration, mostly having to do with the awards. This is competence of the president of Ukraine, and nobody can solve that but him. And the first letter was with the request to give them awards and titles of Heroes of Ukraine with the Golden Star medal. That was on the 14th of August 2014. Then we asked for a meeting. In a special letter, we never got any answer for that one. Then we concluded a special program for proposals to commemorate the heroes and their love and memory, to rename the streets, to install the plaques and other events, other signs of recognition, the memorial area in Institutsky Street. So it's quite a sizable document with different aspects, reviews, and another letter asking for a meeting, and no answer again. And we still discussed the same thing too, and that is about the meeting. So it's awards and the meeting, but we just get no answer, no response to our addresses. So there are no decisions from the top. So we made motions with the Oblast state administrations. We prepared on behalf of our NGO the applications for award. All the families were very active in that respect. We had a lot of help from the wounded, from other activists, lawyers of this last 100, and everyone was aiming at the prosecutor's office. They are doing something, but there are certain reservations as to their performance. But we hope that we will be able to solve that and arrange this work and put it on proper track. I would like to say a couple words about the investigation. The point of view that we are just back from the meeting with the Prosecutor General's office. It was about the investigation. They reported on the developments. That was another time, and again they confronted us with a list of lost evidence and faults of their predecessors. The only important thing was missing, the main lead that they were trying to follow, and how they wanted to investigate this. I hope that they are not actually recognizing that they're helpless. All the Europe is looking at us, and that was videotaped live. That shooting, and they are saying that the majority of those shooters are in the ATO area, and that they fled abroad. I think the main goal is to have the investigation to point to the guilty parties, mention their names, not just the ones who executed that, but also the ones who ordered that. They should be known to the world. And all the relatives are with me on that one. If they cannot investigate, they should hire a group of private investigators, and we are prepared to pay these investigators. I am going to suggest this to the president. I don't think this is the occasion, and we hope that this time he will keep his word, and we would like to hear about the first step towards mutual understanding. I would like to add to this. At this point, we have certain issues with the Ministry of Social Policy. They do not pay any assistance. There's one family of Zurabhur, so we have no contacts. That's the family with which the ministry cannot establish any contact whatsoever. We have some new people, and we are very active there. There are many people who died in the Maidan at that point, but nobody knows anything about them. After this 9-month, somebody was quietly buried, and nobody is aware of that. We're looking for such people, and for those people, we will make the arrangements and allowances from the Ministry of Social Pills. And are all the families satisfied with the compensation? What is the amount? There are some that have not received it. It's 120 to 117,000 hryvnias after tax. Hanna Pisarenko, Independent Bureau, News Bureau, News Agency. You can criticize the authorities mostly because your loss is the biggest. So in your opinion, this new coalition, the government, its activity and inactivity, are you happy with the situation, if you please? And now the new parliament is going to be introduced to the matters, and we had the Moscow Commission. Some evidence was lost then. So should a new commission be created to investigate it in a more thorough fashion? Is it to me? Well, I'm the one who is most concerned. I can explain this because if you don't know, I used to be a police officer. I am more competent than some other families and parents. I'm talking about investigations. I believe that any crime should be investigated and punished. You can repine, but you should be stamped with your crime. We should know that the crime was committed by a specific individual. And the breach is observed from the very beginning of that investigation. From the very first day, somebody fled somewhere. The weapons lost, the exhibits lost, the evidence lost. You should understand that the shells of the bullets, we understand that there's a big collection of that material, ballistic material, the ballistic source. And if we have some kind of accident in manufacturing, somebody's finger gets cut, and everyone is inevitably punished. And here it's absurd and somebody was dismissed just because thousands of people died in the East. I'm a citizen, just like yourselves. And the only difference is that I am raising my voice. And we had that meeting at the Prosecutor General's office. You are a competent person. Did you tell about these things to the Prosecutor General? Yes. To them, I'm just an individual. No more, no less. And I do that at all the briefings at the Hromadske TV. We appointed our lawyers, and as lawyers, they can do that in strict compliance with the laws. We are trying to make it proper and legal. We want to live in a state with the rule of law. My personal opinion can be voiced about activity or inactivity of current authorities. Well, I can tell you and share my opinion. Maybe some people think differently, but I don't think this is the power our loved ones were dying for. You can see what is happening. We can see what is happening in the East. And maybe they think that they can satisfy with the pictures on TV. No, we are grown-ups. And we can analyze the situation. We know many people who are there now, and we cannot understand some developments. It's either they are cowards, and I can use this word because the East is that was just about a will and a way, and stealing of the money and taking the means away, the capabilities away. We are, as the Ukrainian people, are against Russia and that war. There are no authorities. We'll see tonight what happens. If President keeps his promise, maybe that will be a tiny thing to add to our confidence. Otherwise, it's nothing. I would like to add to this that about 70 people voted on the 16th of January in favor of the draconian laws. This is a clear testament that not everything is fine. Volodymyr, I have a question to you about your son, about his blue helmet, about Ustim. People know a lot. That was the multimedia book and the UN 100, and that was the book given by President to Prime Minister of Canada and President of the US. Everyone knows about your son now. I have a question to you in that respect. Is there any special attention given to the investigation, the matter of your son, the Hague Tribunal representatives, the EU courts, European Court for Human Rights? They visited Ukraine recently. Did they give any attention to your case? Perhaps it was God's will. It was written on the wall for my son and for us to become an example and the banner. Europeans were the first to mention that. The first documentary was made by Poles, a boy in a blue helmet. They came to our household trying to investigate his background, the sense of justice, the valor, the investigation. They would call me, give me their support. Spain, the UK, Italy, lots of coverages and footages and actions with the people holding my son's picture. I can see that our president at international meetings is also proud. I hope he's proud of our relatives' deeds. and their fight for the state. But I want him to walk the talk, and there's no special attention to our investigation of my family either. Are there any further questions? If we have no further questions, I think all Ukraine is forever indebted to your children, your fathers, because they fought for the dignity of Ukraine. They paid with their lives for it. So we cannot bring the lives back. So the only thing we can do is to give as much attention, as much public attention to it as we can, to punish the bloody murderers and to make them unknown. So I would like you to inform us and keep us posted on the developments, in particular your meetings with the president, the guilty ones, the miscreants should be punished. Summarizing this briefing, I would like to say that this investigation should be concluded because of different reasons, but the main thing is for the murderers to understand nobody can get away with such things. Otherwise, that will be done again. To prevent this, we have to conclude the investigation. Thank you very much. I would like to turn the floor to a special NGO. This is a follow-up to the discussion. I would like to invite the women here. This is a very important point. These are wives and mothers of the boys and men killed in the course of the Revolution of Dignity. And they often ask us whether there are any families that haven't been yet compensated. These families have never been compensated for their loss. Their relatives, their loved ones, are not on the list of the victims. It looks or made look like they just died. So this is the reference point. We have to put together the list of people who died in the Maidan, and this is very important. And we need attention of the mass media because we want them to be recognized as participants and victims of the revolution. Good afternoon. I would like to greet all of you on the occasion of the first anniversary of the Maidan. We think that on the 21st of November it just started. And it is still developing because not all the ideas of the Maidan have been embodied and implemented. We have about 6 people who are not on the list. I am a widow of Vladimir Rybak's mother of Yuri Popravka, a boy from Kiev who was studying at Kiev Polytechnical School. He was a second-year student. He went to Slovyansk from Maidan. There he was captured by a terrorist, and together with Volodymyr Rybak, the local council, he was disemboweled, tortured. And another person from Stry, Svetlana Dekovska. My son was in the Maidan. Twice he was wounded in the Maidan. The 20th of February, he was taken to the Kiev morgue. And then he was breathing. Somebody noticed that some surgeon, he was wounded in his neck. God saved him then, but 2 months later, he died a terrible death. He was killed 4 times. I don't know what. He was a very tolerant, a very reasonable person, a very peaceful person. And he was never a militant in his life. He went to the east of Ukraine because he cared for Ukraine. He didn't want that part of Ukraine to be lost as the Crimea. Together with Yuri Popravka, they were trying to support the cause, and they were sending text messages on terrorists entering Slavyansk, and they needed some support. some reinforcement. Nobody listened to the signal, and they had no chance to escape when they were caught. They didn't believe that they could be tortured. They said that they were in favor of Ukraine, that were Ukrainians, patriots, and they wanted our country to be one. And that's why they died. Good afternoon. I'm a widow of Vasil Serhiyenko, journalist, a poet, a social scientist, who was tortured to death in April. He was taken from his mother's house. He was in the Maidan, and he was looking after his mom, who could not use her legs in Korsun-Shevchenkivsky. He arranged the Maidan, the company, Korsun company, and the assembly, Vicha. He was head of all those organizations. He was at the public assemblies called called Vichas. He was trying to investigate as a journalist different machinations with land and other things, other assets. And when they stopped at Korsun-Shevchenkivsky, the titushkas, the thugs for hire, and the backwards special squad, he started receiving threats. In April, they kidnapped him from his mom's house on the 4th of April, and that same night he died a terrible death. 17 times he was stabbed at his heart. He was strangled. His head was broken. He was stabbed and at his kidneys, and many people were looking for him. So they put him into a pit, 1.5 meters, prepared in advance, and they put him into the pit still alive. And he was found on the next day by accident, really. And 500 people were looking for him. That night, next morning, they were looking for them, and that's my nervousness is explained by this atrocity. We are all here lost the dearest ones who were fighting for the bright future of Ukraine, for the justice against corruption, and they perished in such a way. And now we can see that it was for nothing, to no purpose, of no consequence, and there's no honor even after their death. Another widow lost her husband. I'm Svetlana. I am wife of one Alexander Badera, perished in the Maidan. My husband was just another guy, just another Ukrainian, but he was from a Cossack family, and he was leader of Galician Cossacks, and he loved Ukraine dearly. I discovered that he was such a courageous man. I didn't know that myself, because his last words, very last words, were, "You can take our life, you cannot take our faith." He is been commemorated. We had our own memorial on the asphalt, and we have that memorial, just the pictures of our relatives on bare pavements. And now the leaves fall and the rains will come, and I don't know what will happen to the pictures. that will be frozen to that payment. There are some stones in the Institute's Key Street, and they agreed to at least go part of the street, Celestial 100 Street, because though the fights were from along all the length of the street from Хрещатик to Крепостный Lane. Alexander Badera is celebrated in Canada. In London, they have a memorial. In Prague, people in Czech Republic a long time ago installed a memorial back in April. Our authorities are too busy with other things on their plate. There's no war. There's just this anti-terrorist operation. And what is the notion of this operation? The promise of our president, the guarantor of our constitution, gives some hope. It's a bit too late because the parliament, that was the first resolution to be adopted by the parliament, that the future president has to do that. Those people who perished in those events, the peaceful events, so-called peaceful events, all the people wanted to pay tribute, to pay homage to them. It was they were different MPs. That was the will of the people. And our parents, our spouses, our children. I remember that in the Celestial 100 there are just men and boys, but there were also some ladies around fighting. But these people are not all. There are just 5 of us. But the journalists know well that there are many people who are not identified yet. Those people who have to be discovered and identified, their kin and their relations. We were promised that investigation. There was some delay with my husband's case. It was difficult to communicate with the prosecutor's office. It wasn't just the prosecutor's office and the Ministry of Interior, that no raven would take another raven's eye. And there are just 3 buckets, people as scapegoats, Sadovnik, Zinchenko, and Abrovsky. Of course, they are not the best Ukrainians we can imagine, but they are not the biggest perpetrators, miscreants. They are not. They are not the most responsible ones, because Zinchenko and Brodsky, they were soldiers. They were ordered to shoot. Some people didn't shoot. There were some people who just left. Those people stayed and executed the order, carried it out to the very end. And those people have to be punished, though, who put them there. And I cannot find that person who said, give us the water cannons for the saint day to baptize people, as they say, with ice cold water, with the baptism of Christ celebration, to use terrain grenades and and who gave the clubs and then the firearms to the special squads of the police, to the Berkut. They were with that club and the shoes they had. My pants in the kitchen are thicker than the shoe that can protect oneself from rain. So they attacked peaceful people. Yes, peaceful people. I wasn't. I was sorry. I was a witness to it. I have a question. Did you talk to representatives of the presidential administration, to the president, and why your relatives are not there, not recognized? On the 2nd of May, that was the pre-election campaign and newspaper issued by Petro Poroshenko. He wrote there that my son was a hero of the Celestial Company, and that society was joined by another person. And on 2 times they dismissed the case on my son's matter after his election as president. It's Article 115. There's no body, but there are no injuries inflicted. So he damaged himself, injured himself, and drowned himself. That's what we get from there. He committed it's himself allegedly. After that, Vitaly Yarema was appointed as prosecutor general. I'm very grateful to Vitaly Yarema for that. As prosecutor general, he paid special attention to our case and ordered our 3 cases to take away from Horlivka and made them one. Now it's a secret. We had that publication in the press, the Prosecutor General's office, Hirkin and Besler were accused of that. I would like to approach President through your channels. I would like to ask President Poroshenko, Mr. President, if you decided to make them part of the Celestial 100, they were not participants of the ATO. They were in the Maidan from the very first moment, and they went to the east to advocate for unity of Ukraine, the territory of Donbass. Are there any further questions? If we have no further questions, I would like to thank you. I promise that this information will be disseminated through the mass media. Please keep us posted on the developments in your investigations. We cannot bring them back, but none of them perished in the Maidan or in the East should be forgotten. Their miscreants should be punished, and we have to demand vengeance and punishment from this. We are celebrating the first anniversary. There will be many official events, and here we're concluding this in our media center.